Okay.
Okay.
No more choking. I can't get on that. I mean, churches that have these schools. That's sure. Pushing. I mean. Yeah. Yeah. But I just, I don't know. I have that. I don't want to be on track about the. Yeah. So, I think I don't know where it is. I used to work on it. Yeah. And I told him someone like right. And I mean, look what and then he's so young. River. Yeah, I got to get out and truck on his back. And as much as everything. Oh, yeah, and I brought something down, and I punched it out, and got the left foot there, which is what won't hold it. Yeah, down. I got 2 pairs of these, and I wanted to about that, because I think this was 2013. My niece was just or left of that.
Good, how are you?
Good, have a great week.
Well.
Good.
Yeah.
No. But I'll send you.
Boardwalk over, and I ran into a big dog. Boston.
Yeah.
And they found out.
Like that. What was the rest of you? Yeah, I don't know. It's fine, we are bothering them. I mean, I already know. I know, and that's what it's right hand, and I was. No, I just like the side of it. I didn't. I go, really? I really didn't have one. I think it's not really good. It went up like that.
Yeah, great.
Oh. Hey, we can sign it. Really sign it. Could you- I got it.
Yeah, they've been. Yeah. You want me to?
I'm gonna wait for that. But I looked at this and said, I'm gonna triple this. No, most of them are okay. This one just, I said, this.
I mean, some of it's like, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You said you were trying to figure the person who you're supposed to be. With a lady. She helped live posting. My son. Yeah, I just haven't changed the place for a long time ago. She's looking at shit. He moved back to Jersey City. I also moved to driving around in the golf cart in Jersey City.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's fun.
She helped me, goal.
Right? I think. Wow.
No merits on the way to.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Did they deliver to them?
Yes.
I need you to look. Okay, get population. Okay,
I do too. I was wondering, I was like, even I'm worried.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I wish to announce that the 48-hour notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act was emailed to the Asbury Park Press, the Co-Star, and the New Coaster on December the 7th of 2023. That a copy has been placed on the bulletin board in the borough office and that a copy has been filed with the municipal clerk. As a courtesy to the public, this meeting may be attended via Zoom. If for any reason the Zoom portion of this meeting fails or is disconnected, the in-person meeting will continue and action can and will be taken providing there is an in-person quorum. Mr. Noble? Here. Mr. Gubatose?
Here.
Ms. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Weber?
Here.
Mayor Fox?
Here. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our 9th meeting of the year. I have and will continue to emphasize, it's my commercial announcement for for each meeting that we should welcome disagreement because it helps us think through things differently, but our voice should be a constructive one. We all want a brighter Bradley Beach and ask that you join us in this journey. I ask everyone to gauge their tone going forward. We're all neighbors. Unfortunately, this sometimes falls on deaf ears and we're just gonna have to continue in a positive way. I remind people of that. Sorry. So with that, we were going to have a workshop on this very issue tonight, but I asked to be pushed to June because I had a couple of things to tighten up on it. But we are, continuing to try to conform to the agenda, and we will continue to try to do that. The first order of business is a workshop on trees on Main Street, but I had asked the council, I'd like to make a motion to move resolution 2024-12 up so that some of our valuable resources that are in this room that work shifts and want some family time might not have to stay through the whole meeting. Unless y'all want me to keep it to one of the last things. Okay, no, okay. So I'd like to make a motion to move up 2024-12. Do I have a second?
Second. Mr. Noble? Yes. Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, it's not even on the agenda here.
Yeah.
Resolution 112.
2024-112, I'm sorry. Who was that?
Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. Don, I hear you. Oh, there you are. Hello, thank you.
Okay, 2024-112 is a nomination of Captain James Arnold to the position of Chief of Police for the Borough of Bradley Beach. That is the resolution. I do want to make a comment or two before we set a vote in motion, but just some background on Captain Arnold. He received his Bachelor of Science with high honors from Rutgers University. He began his career as a special officer and dispatcher in 2000. He became a patrolman in 2002. In 2006, he joined the Monmouth County Emergency Response Team, where he rose to the position of team leader. Captain Arnold was assigned to the Detective Bureau from 2012 to 2016.
There he was promoted to sergeant. As a sergeant, Captain Arnold became the lead instructor for the Southern Monmouth County Active Shooter Partnership, a training program inclusive of 12 shore towns. 2019, Captain Arnold was promoted to lieutenant, and 2023 promoted to captain. During his career, Captain Arnold also served as department's traffic officer and firearms instructor. As many of you know, since mid-November of 2023, Captain Arnold has been the officer in charge of the Bradley Beach Police Department. He's done an admirable job, and I believe he has the support of the department to move this resolution forward. He certainly has mine. So with that, I don't know if anybody has any other comments or we want to move to motion of vote.
Probably should all make a comment.
But
That's how we make the meetings longer. So, just want to say it is great to be doing this and, Captain Arnold, it's just it's gonna be a new day for the police department. You know, it already has been a new day, but I'm really looking forward to that new day and working with you. I appreciate our conversations thus far and, I kind of can't wait. So appreciate you stepping up to this.
I'm also really excited about this. I think it's a good choice and I think it'll be a great step forward for Bradley Beach. We need a breath of fresh air and this will be a good thing.
Captain, and I'm looking forward to that being the last time I refer to you as such. It's been an honor and a pleasure working with you in my role as liaison. I'm very excited about you taking the lead here and I look forward to working together with you and calling you chief.
I'd also like to thank Captain Arnold for reaching out and calling me, and I wasn't in trouble. It was just to see what I needed, which was good. But that was the first time that the police called me and reached out and communicated with me. And I felt this is we're seeing a tide turning, and I see morale already is boosted. I see communication has been created between the fire department, the first aid. It's a whole new day, and we can never let what happened happen again. We have to keep those lines of communication open. And I'm very happy that this day has finally come.
okay, I'll make a motion to approve 2024-112.
Second.
Mr. Noble,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Speech now, speech back.
Say help. Yeah, I warned you this might happen.
And, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make this real quick, because we all know these meetings can be rather lengthy. There will be a swearing in, so that'll be my time to express a little bit more to you guys. But for tonight, Mayor, Council, I really want to say thank you, not for me, but for our police department. The men and women that work in that department are top notch, and the resiliency and the motivation that they've shown over the past several months, it's just been so impressive. I'm so proud of everybody in that police department. I'm so proud to be part of that police department. A lot of the members are here tonight, as you see, on their own free time, like the mayor said. So thank you for coming out and supporting this resolution. The members of the community that came out to support this resolution, I thank you so much. It means a lot to us. This really helps move this police department in the right direction, just making this department great again. So thank you so much.
I was pleased we kept politics out of this, the captain, chief elect, until you said, make the department great again. So we very much appreciate your comments. And we'll formalize, as we said, there's formalization going on. We're talking about, formalization of swearing in. We look forward to that. And I thank everybody for coming tonight, particularly the folks that are out there every day, making it happen for us here, making us one of the safest towns in Monmouth County, and we very much appreciate that. We don't get to say that enough, but we do very much appreciate that too, to each and every one of you. Okay, so our next workshop item is Actually, wait, before you guys go. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, could y'all come back for 1 minute? I'm sorry. I'm calling an audible here. If I could ask, for one more motion, could we, just move up presentations and bids to the next item? It would only take 5 minutes, but I'd like, it'd be good to have, these folks here too. Second.
Mr. Noble,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes,
Ms. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
And I'm sorry, I looked at the sequence and I thought that was next. Supervisor Capone, would you come up here, please? More clapping. Get a new title, not need more money. And I gotta put glasses on because the font on this is better too. So for those who don't know, it's National Public Works Week. And we wanted to recognize our Public Works team. And I asked Yadri to pop in and read this proclamation. So National Public Works Week, whereas Public Works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' daily lives. And whereas the support of and understanding of, I'm sorry, this is a really small font. Whereas the support of and understanding of informed public is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs, including water, sewer, streets, public buildings, solid waste collection, landfill, water waste disposal, code enforcement, and engineering providing essential services to our citizens. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, construction is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of public service employees, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of this important work they perform. Now therefore resolve the governing body of the Borough of Bradley Beach to hereby proclaim the week of May 19th to 25th, which is a few weeks after. We wanted to get this before Memorial Day because they get very busy right now. Public Works Week, building for today, planning for tomorrow in the Borough of Bradley Beach, and call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involving and providing our public works, and then recognize the contribution of public works officials make every day health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. On this day, 8 May 2024. Right. Thank you all. Now, if you feel like leaving now. Want to get these folks home so they get some sleep. Okay, the next agenda item is a workshop on trees on Main Street. And I think Councilman Weber wants to lead that discussion.
Sure thing. The idea here is that right now, technically, or on, way it's supposed to work on paper right now is that property owners, the adjacent property owners are supposed to take care of the trees on Main Street. There's, I don't know, roughly 75 different properties on Main Street, and I think the evidence is plain to see that if we have 75 different property owners doing or not doing their own thing with tree care and maintenance and planting, that it doesn't really lead to much of a unified on Main Street or a very good look. So the idea is to have the town take that over. And the other underlying thought here is that in practice, the town already has, as long as I've been up here on council, there's been 2 different times we've called the county and asked the county Shade Tree Commission to trim the trees on Main Street because we would get a better deal from the county than going out to the commercial provider. And they've done that. So in practice, the town's taking care of this anyway. I thought, let's just make this official. Let's make it so it is on paper, like it is the town's job and the job of the adjacent property owner. And I think that will contribute to a better look on Main Street, and I hope my council colleagues agree, and I think that's kind of it.
Um, I think Councilman Weber, you're right on the mark. I do think we need greater uniformity and greater consistency, and as we improve Main Street, we have to make sure we have a solution for our trees. Trees will be a vibrant part of the future Main Street, and property owner by property owner, we struggle tremendously. There are some that beautifully maintain their trees, prune them every so many years, and then there are others who go as far as to, on their own, cut them down, and everything in between. So we need the consistency. I'd like to think most, if not all of our council will agree on that. The one question I think that we're gonna need to address if we were to move forward with the borough taking control of the trees would be the funding for maintaining those trees, because right now, in theory, and sometimes in reality, depending on how consistent the property owners are, the property owners pay for the pruning and maintenance of the trees. If the borough takes it over, does that become a small burden on the taxpayers? Or do we consider a small surcharge to each of the property owners on Main Street? And I don't know, as a council, we really are talking about this for the first time. But I think that's an important issue to address. I personally, I don't know mechanically how that works, but I am aware of surcharges existing for other activities. So if a surcharge was possible, someone would have to run the numbers, figure out roughly what the cost would be. My own rough guess is it might be, $50 a property per month. And I can talk to everyone about details later.
Per year.
I'm sorry, per year.
Yeah.
So it may not be a significant surcharge, but conceptually, and maybe in principle, I at least would advocate for there being some sort of a levy, some sort of a surcharge for the existing Main Street property owners. But other than that, I do think whatever way we pay for it, we need to take control of the trees.
I also agree, and I know you talked about the county doing it. I did have a conversation with Tom Arnone today, and because I said to really understand what we need to do, we need to know how much this is going to cost. So he said, just put a request in for shared service, and the county can do it for a fraction of the cost of a regular private tree service. So then we could also go through where you thought, we could also, assess the landlords of the buildings, or even with the Shade Tree Commission. I mean, if it's not that much money, we could even, maybe tap into their resources as well. So we do have options, but I think the first thing we have to establish is what is the cost. In addition, we just got a grant for Main Street. So that means there's gonna be more trees coming. That means more trees will be pruned. But I'll tell you, I just got back from a trip from Europe. The way they keep their trees there, wow, gorgeous. Okay, and I know their taxes are probably 50% of their income. And that's why they have everything's perfect, right? But I thought, why can't we look more like that? And then we all use Main Street. This is the benefit for all of us, because they say, oh, you're responsible for your tree at Third Avenue. Not everybody goes to Third Avenue. I feel like everybody in this room has gone to Main Street a few times at least in a year. And we can all benefit from a nice looking Main Street that we can all be proud of. So we have options, but we have to just figure out how much that option is going to cost us first. That's my suggestion, that we reach out and get from Monmouth County. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I probably need to hear from all of you and see what you think about this, because I mean, of course, I think taking care of our trees on Main Street is really important. I think the big thing for me is who carries the cost? Does the business owner carry the cost, or do we as taxpayers carry the cost? And, people who have, people who live in residences are charged with taking care of their own planting strip and their own trees. Should the same be done for Main Street? Should there be a pass on cost to the business owners? So I don't know the answer to that. So I would like to hear what you all have to say. to help me make my decision. Because I don't know what the answer to that is right now.
Yeah, so, I guess my comments right now are, you know, we just set up a Main Street group to look at how we improve Main Street, and I think after, we've had 2 meetings. And it is gonna be a multi-year deal, I can tell you that now, just based on what we're gonna try to do and how we have to do it. There's questions that I have on this around, and this is not foreign to minimally, Councilman Gubatose or Weber. On, you know, what is this operating model gonna look like? What's the funding model to support it? I'm not sure where JIF stands, the joint insurance, fund, we have to check that out. If we're talking about a shared service or an outside service versus DPW. There may be a good differential of county versus outside service. We just need to understand what that is. I don't think we've contacted the state yet relative to that. I don't even know, you know, what the implication if there's a state, you know, issue. I am somewhat reticent relative to the Shade Tree Commission on this in the context of we still, I think, have issues around how we govern in the context of if somebody's home, somebody has a violation, incurring a fine, setting that violation to somebody currently is still a little fuzzy, and we've got to tighten that up. I struggle with having residents in a role of if any kind of role of you know, kind of enforcement, if you will. And I'm not saying that would happen. I'm just saying we'd have to understand in that operating model where if the Shade Tree Commission was involved, how would they be involved and what that input would be. So those are a couple of my comments. I don't know. I've spoken a little bit to the BA about this. I don't know if you have any comments.
Yeah, I think the shared service is an interesting idea. I know that DPW right now doesn't have the capabilities or the capacity to take this on. We don't have a bucket truck, for example, to do anything with the trees that go into the wires or anything like that. So there's definitely funding is the big issue, but I think shared service might be a good option to explore. Like I said, my big hesitation, and I think it's a question we can get answered easily, is does this put any increased liability onto the borough as far as insurance liabilities go? So that would be the question that, you know, I would have for Jim.
Just one other clarified comment, you know, I'm close to a number of the members on the Shade Tree. I'm mayor to the stage, any concerns you have. I don't think Shade Tree Commission wants anything to do with managing this process or in any way interfering with the processes of our government. So that came up once before with the red flag trees and they wanted nothing to do with that. In fact, I think at that point, Dr. Heflick, who was here at the time, raised concerns in public that, you know, we, the borough, had communicated that the Shade Tree was taking some initiative that in fact they weren't. So, I think at least for that one concern you raised, I think we're off the hook. Shade Tree wants nothing to do with it, other than they just want to increase the canopy of our trees in Bradley Beach. But they would, to me, this is all about questions like Mr. Marco, you just raised, and others on this panel have raised. But it's our ordinances. We decide ultimately how we fund, if we want to move forward, how we will fund it. And we're changing an existing ordinance if we do at all. And we have that, we should have that authority to do that, to change our ordinances.
Yeah, my comment relative to Shade Tree was somebody, I think, Council President Denoble made a comment on that.
Yeah.
And my only caution with the Shade Tree Commission is that,
I just thought they could help with the funding because they want to, a lot of times they get $10,000 from the town that they don't even use. They give it back every year, goes back into the capital fund. I just thought that might be a possibility just to.
Yep.
But again, we need to know the cost, you know, like many years ago, I asked somebody, said, oh, I could do it for $75 a tree. So if you have 100 trees, it's $7,500. So it might not be as much as we think it's going to be.
And if I just have a couple follow-up comments, just to be clear, I'm not proposing this and saying then we should go and, get a special assessment from Main Street owners. I think that gets really dicey because some have a tree in front of their property and some of them don't. And you're gonna charge them all a fee, that would have to be figured out. And like I said, in practice, we call the county's done this, I don't see why that would change, it would just be that, we're not. It would be official that that's our job and not the property owners and who aren't doing it. So there's more than just trimming trees, if a tree is lifting up the pavers, if it's the town's responsibility. Our guys, Biagio, his guys could go out and they could fix that. What we have right now is that's being ignored. I mean, on this Main Street committee, Mr. Mayor, a business owner came in and he complained about a tree that's lifting up the pavers, and I went and looked at it, and people told me that's been like that for years.
Mhm.
I don't know why our code enforcement isn't going out and saying, hey, you need to fix these pavers. So whoever, if it's the responsibility of the property owner, that's fine. If it's the responsibility of the town, I think it'll just get taken care of that much quicker because we know whose job it is. And we know that they have the skills and ability to do it. So it's more than just trimming trees. So yep, that's that.
Okay, you want to get some public comments for, let's say, 10 minutes? Yes.
Deborah Brunel, 401 Fifth Avenue. Didn't know I was actually going to be speaking about this tonight, but you know my house, I live at the corner of Fifth and Madison. I have 6 lovely, very expensive London planes that I just paid $1,400 to have trimmed. So how do you differentiate trees on Main Street? Because I'll happily pay $50 a month as opposed to my $1,400 to have my trees taken care of. So when you're talking about Main Street, you're also talking about the rest of the trees in town. So something to think about, because those trees technically belong to the town. I can't cut them down. I can't, and I'm responsible for any damage that they do. Last year, I replaced a windshield on my cousin's truck because a branch came down. So I think you need to think about all the trees, not just Main Street. Thank you.
And if I can just respond to that, Mr. Mayor, and Deb, it's a great point. I just want to say, Deb, that, we thought about that and kind of like, Councilwoman DeNoble said, Main Street's everybody. It's like, yes, you and me, we're all responsible for the trees in front of our house. I think it's great that you paid $1,400 to trim them. I'm not sure it would work out if we did a $50 a year assessment. I mean, I don't know when the last time you paid $1,400.
I
So,
do those trees every couple of years.
yeah, okay, so
It's a lot of money.
as,
But the liability of a branch coming down on somebody's head as they walk to the beach past my street is part of the town. And I just recently watched, the utility authority come through, and I was talking to the guys, I said, oh my God, I just paid $1,400 and now you're trimming the trees, and he said, oh no, we don't touch yours, you don't have lines going through.
That was JCP&L.
Yeah. So they take care of the trees where there's lines, they don't take care of the trees where there's, like my corner. that has
they
lines.
and they hack them, then that's really
So,
bad.
I mean, I get it, but I think that it needs to be addressed for everybody, not just Main Street.
Thank you. Thanks, Ann. Yes.
Hi, Brigitte McGuire, 610 Brittany Ave. I just wanted to, I know there was some talk about the business owners, like trying to figure out who would carry the cost. I would like to, if the business owners are gonna be part of it, I think in conjunction with the landlords of Main Street buildings makes more sense than just one or the other. Just because, with owning one of those buildings, rents can go up, they can benefit as well from a nicer Main Street. So I just would like the idea of not just business owners, if it's going to be business owners, maybe in conjunction with the landlords for Main Street. I'd also like that if this decision has to be made with the whole Main Street grant and the group or commission or whatever, that we have some town halls and workshop before decisions are made, where we can get resident input before any type of group or commission makes final decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. So anybody else? Yes. There's nobody on the board. Is it?
I do not, nope, no hands on the board.
Sure. Oh, and that.
Nancy Meadow, Ocean Park condominiums. I love trees. I like the Giving Tree book. I need trees to live, to breathe in my oxygen. This is not the time. We have no money. Our budget is a disaster. We have no, how you can even think that we can spend money on one leaf is beyond me. In addition, even if you look at the work that JCP&L did, tree surgery is a skill, an occupation, a degree, with no disrespect to DPW, who I feel has already been disrespected this evening. I do not know that anyone there has the training to properly prune trees. I know it includes things other than pruning, but to even spend money on a tree and then have people not trim them properly is Bradley Beach way, and I think we need to change that way. Again, I underscore the fact that we should only spend money on necessities. And again, I know my oxygen is a necessity, but I do not think that this is the time to do it.
Thank you. So, yes.
Yeah, Thomas J. Colant, 12 Avenue. I do agree with Ms. Brunel. I prune my trees on a 5-year cycle. It's about $500 a year. I do my 2 trees at 401 Main and then my neighbor's tree, so they all look very uniform. You know, I didn't do it this year. They're beginning to grow into the wires. It's about the time I do them in January or February. Usually I held off because I don't want to spend money twice if you're gonna do it. I love the idea of the county doing it because it does help with parking management. That's always an issue we have. We have to coordinate with the police department to block off the parking spaces on the morning that we're gonna prune the trees. But if it could be done unilaterally down the whole block, that would help. Also, we do pay substantial amount of county taxes, so it would be nice to get some benefit from that. But I do agree that it's really not fair to the other residents who have to maintain their trees. Also, Mayor, I'm puzzled about, you've had 2 meetings of the Main Street. I volunteered to be on the committee, but no one called. And you've had 2 meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have other Main Street landlords for 27 years?
No, we've got it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We appreciate everybody's input. We won't move on. Okay. The next agenda item is approval of minutes. So I'll make a motion to approve the April 24th, 2024 council business meeting minutes.
Second. Ms. Noble,
Abstain.
Mr. Gubatose,
Abstain.
Ms. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
It's up to us. Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, the next agenda item is public comments pertaining to the 5/8/24 agenda. Agenda items only, 5-minute limit, single instance. For your comments. Any comments on the agenda? Yes.
Just one question, since it's Public Works Week, do our Public Works employees have a contract yet?
Okay, that's not on the agenda, I'm sorry.
Well, it's Public Works, so
Yeah, it's really,
do they have a contract yet though? Yes, that's the question.
no, they don't, and that's being worked on. Yes. I got it.
Regina McGuire, 6 Grand Ad. I do think it was a little bit of an embarrassment, a lot of it, of an embarrassment to do a public works proclamation. I was told on the way out dispatch, it was 2 weeks ago, and they got nothing. And still no contract is what I was told, so. It was a punch in the gut, and those words were spoken on the way out the door, so. The other thing I want to mention, which I've repeated time and time again, is I'm asking for the introduction of the budget to be voted down. I think we need a lot of answers as residents. We need to know where the 986 or close to $1 million from 2022 audit is. We need to know where the COVID monies are, where they were allocated to, where they were even deposited. I think we need to confirm that $500,000 was replenished for 2023 and check on where the 600,000 went, because we were told that 300 was going to be not, 300,000 was not going to be replenished, and now it's 600,000, so we need all of this information before a budget is passed. I also think DPW needs a contract before any budget is passed, and I'm talking a 2024 contract, so we're like way behind at this point. How do we pass the budget if we don't know salaries, if we don't know vacation, if we don't know any of that? So I just don't see how this is going to pass. I think we have all the material mistakes that showed up, that were been brought over to the next year in 2022 that came up on that report. We need an investigation in here. We need the DCA to come in. I am willing, I don't know how that happens. I don't know if the council gets fined, if the town gets fined. I think if the budget doesn't get passed and introduced, I think we as the residents need to come together and figure out how to help raise funds if the council and the town gets penalized, because we need the investigation firsthand, and I think that is most important. So please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Hey, Tom Chicoine, 612 Third Avenue. First of all, on the settlement, 2024-113, the settlement pending litigation, that is actually not a settlement of litigation. The mayor, the town was found guilty of not supplying the Oprahs. This is merely a financial settlement, so I just want to make that clear. It's not a settlement of the litigation. Second of all, Mayor, when you break the agenda like that, you don't give the public an ability to comment on resolutions that you do before the public comment. So I'd like to take this time to congratulate Captain Arnold on its new position. But because it would have been nice if some of the public could have done that. But also, I'd like to make a motion that Sergeant William Major be made the new captain, because he really stepped up, and no one's mentioned his name in this room. And everyone owes him a debt of gratitude for the evil leadership that we put up with in this town for a long time. He's a gentleman who stepped up, and I want to thank him. Also, on the daily beach badges, we don't know what the budgets are. We don't know what's going on. Charge $13. We don't know about the back pay that was supposed to be paid. We don't know about the new minimum wage. The taxpayer shouldn't be stuck with all this. But, you know, we don't really get a lot of budget information on how things work. It should be $13. That's my recommendation on that. And on the resolution to retire to executive session, Mr. Cannon, will there be any business done after that point?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Nancy Meadow, Ocean Park condominiums. I want to underscore what Ms. McGuire said, Mr. Cohen. I am appalled that the public did not get to have comments prior to, pushing through the police captain's promotion. Had we done that, I would have said that I don't know him, I have no personal opinion there. However, I think he put the cart before the horse. I requested numerous times that the ordinance go back to having the police chief report to the VA. I've been ignored, and that could affect how somebody, whether or not they want a position. It's not just about who we want to hire, it's about who wants to work here. The rest of my points, I guess, are moot. I'm glad to see you at least had an opportunity to speak to him. Did we get other applications? Did we see? You also need to change the ordinance and reduce the number of employees. With that being said, prior to dealing with beach badges, I would think you would revise that ordinance. That would be percentage of, other department employee pays and would pull that of the beach utility. Yes, we know that the budget's a mess. You cannot conceivably pass that. I would also say regarding resolutions 2024-103-107, I've stated this before, we need to take a refundable deposit even for a past one. It's just, how many times do we have to say the same things? And yes, Public Works needs a contract. My services are starting to decline because they're 2 people short. They wouldn't be 2 people short if they had money, if they were paid. So really, that's on you. I would also say that with the budget, you need to look at what's a necessity, what personnel are necessities. Because I can go through right now and take my teacher red pencil and just go, nope, nope, no. And I implore you. Until we have P&Ls on the rec center, P&Ls on tourism, P&Ls on all various departments, with questions answered about incomes, where the sources are, where the deposits are. Why is everything free at the rec center? Why does not Bradley Beach residents get first? I can go on and on and on. We need to get the town in order before you start frivolously spending our money. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Children Titus 605 North Avenue. I'm asking a question in regards to the introduction of the budget. As I had asked last week and probably the week before that, has the council been given access to the CFO to answer questions? No? No. So I implore you to please vote no to this. How can we vote on a budget if we cannot ask questions of our subject matter experts and also of someone that we pay to be a CFO? So kind of like he is not performing his job functions. And also, Mr. Cannon, I have a question for you. Is that legal? Can the mayor just block the council from talking to a staff member of the borough who's a paid employee? These are our duly elected officials. I mean, we've all been in business. I mean, Mr. Fox, you've been at J&J all those years. You talked to subject matter experts. You were never blocked talking to your financial experts. I'm sorry, you're not a financial expert. Mr. Marco is not a financial expert. And that's not putting you guys down. You just are not. So Mr. Gubitosi is a financial expert, a CPA. He has a JD. He's run global divisions. Why can he not have access to asking questions? And when you say it's too many questions, it's because from what I'm seeing is that's a conversation. So when you have a conversation, guess what? All those questions keep getting eliminated because you're having a conversation. So I look at it this way, perception is reality. So if you have nothing to hide, which I really hope that's the case, there's no reason why the council cannot have access to the CFO. And also I'm very disturbed, and another reason why I vote no on the introduction of this budget is the debacle from the 2022 audit. So I would like to know is when will the residents of this town be presented with the corrective actions from 2022? We have a lot of money missing. So when is that going to come into play? We don't have a contract with the DPW. How do we put together a financial plan for this town when it's a domino effect? 2022, missing money, mismanagement, financial mismanagement. We need corrective actions. So that just leads me to believe 2023, then has misinformation that was given to council to vote on a budget. Because I personally can't wait to hear about the 2023 audit to see what comes down with that. So you have a domino effect. And also, all this personally, I don't think any of us would run our own households like this. When you talk to your broker, your financial expert or whatever, you have questions. You just don't blindly just say, go ahead, manage my money. Doesn't that work? So again, Mr. Mayor, I implore you to allow people to have a conversation. And Mr. Cannon, you still haven't answered me. Is that legal or not? I know you're looking something up.
I mean, I can't answer that question. It depends on the employee. There's employees under different control. So the clerk works for the council.
So that's just a policy that has been, I know that started with our former BA, Ms. Humphrey, started with no one was allowed to talk to employees. I just
I
thought
mean,
that
I'm not sure that's a policy. It's sad.
I mean, so I don't understand, just like, let's have sit down and converse, you know, I mean, you're writing these articles to say in the newspaper, I'm trying to work with everybody. Well, here's your opportunity to work with people. Let Mr. Gubitosi have access to the CFO and let's get this done once and for all. I don't understand what the problem is. This is business 101 and common sense. So if you have the best interests of the town and there's nothing to hide, let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. What else? Yeah.
This one, Fourth Avenue, could anybody give me a progress report on the audit for 2023? Is that going to be, submitted before the deadline?
I can get you an answer to that,
Well,
yes.
I asked that the last time and I'm still waiting.
Well, the auditor's coming in tomorrow, so I'll be speaking tomorrow.
Okay, now is Mr. Fahrenbach still negotiating the, participating on the budget?
He's part of the team, yes.
Yes, and so how many, I'm still waiting for the answer regarding each time and what portion of the negotiations he participates in. And has the council been given equal time to participate in this? Because they're also on the committee.
Well, we're not really on a committee, but we've had no, other than a
Well,
very rare
according
update.
to the email that I received from the mayor, the council has been named as members of the committee
For,
for the fight for the negotiating the budget, and I'd be happy to share all about it. I can easily retrieve it from my emails. And Mr. Fahrenbach's name was mentioned, department heads were mentioned, and the other line, council's names were mentioned, and I will be happy to.
Yeah, I think we clarified that in the last meeting
No.
with Councilman Weber, that he asked the same question, and the answer relative to the council was they provided input on the capital budget to the borough administrator. And I wasn't able to ask that question, the last meeting. I assume that everybody provided feedback on the capital forecast, is that correct?
Every council member has weighed in at some point or asked questions or yes.
But are they participants in the actual negotiations the way the rest of the committees are?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by negotiation, I'm sorry.
Well, whoever, I don't know how the budget works, but if they're members of the team, shouldn't they be involved in the meetings as much as Mr. Fallenbach and other members? I mean, they have to approve the budget. Shouldn't they have some input and some deep knowledge of what's going on with the negotiations and all of that? Don't you feel that as a resident, I would like to see that my council is represented there on an equal basis,
Understand your point.
but will they be participating?
They have provided us input to this part of it.
But if I ask,
Why don't I do this, Mr. Shishias? I will outline the steps in the budget and where we are and what has to happen next.
Mr. Shishis, maybe I can help clarify. You're effectively asking, I think, two different questions.
okay,
One question is what input we've had on the budget, and the other question is what input are we having within the. Granted, there's a little link. The only input we've had on the budget is we've been allowed to ask questions. We really haven't received answers to help us understand. So we've had very limited interaction on the budget. And regarding the logo 152, we have very rare updates. But other than that, no interaction whatsoever.
So your question was around the contract negotiation? I'm
Yes.
sorry. No,
No,
but the
budget in general.
the budget in general,
Oh,
so.
yeah, I thought you were talking-
yeah. No, I didn't think so.
To do with Mr. Bernstein and.
Oh, then there's just us asking questions so far.
I'll.
I think he was asking if you're on the team.
Yes.
He's referring to.
Yes.
We are not, we are not on the
No.
team.
Well,
But your
you
names
provide
were
input.
listed on the email that I received. from
Right,
Mayor.
you asked me a question and I answered your question relative to the people who have been involved in the budget process. I view that as a
But the
team.
council's saying they're not active members.
Well, they provided us input on capital and they've been asking us questions, which we've been responding to. So maybe your
honestly-
definition of team and mine is different. So,
Well, it seems like the council has a difference of opinion, as you, Mayor.
okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
That Kaplan, 409 Brimley, a couple of things, few things actually. Chief Arnold. Just wanted to say congratulations. I'm among those that made a lot of noise about what happened here. Previously. I want to acknowledge that you've probably been through a whole lot less. It could not have been easy for you. And I particularly appreciate the fact that you suggested there is room for improvement, and things need to change. Very happy to hear. That's one. Two, I would like to speak to the agenda item on the change of form of government. Strongly in favor of that. Unfortunately, my 5 minutes doesn't allow all the reasons for this. There's simply no time. But I did want to address one thing that I'm confused about, just judging on the interaction with previous speakers. Sorry. We have been told, Mr. Cox, by you many times that this is a comment only portion of a meeting.
We try to
But
do
you
that.
just answered, hang on, you just answered a number of questions. So are you now prepared to drop this ridiculous claim that it's comments only, and this is a true question and answer? Period.
No.
Okay. So I want to quickly review what happened in the last meeting. Because this issue has kicked around for a while now. So, and you folks can look this up and watch it as long as the meeting is online. At the 27:45 mark, if anyone wants to look. You open this part of the meeting with these exact words. Are there any questions on the agenda items for tonight? Not surprisingly, first speaker asks a clarification question. You immediately answered, replied with an answer. 2 minutes later, he asked another question. You answered. But at 32:20, when a new speaker begins to ask a question, you cut her off. Know what I said, her. You cut her off with this. Do you have any comments? But just 4 minutes later, 36:19, again, you can look it up. Between speakers, you ask any other questions. Of course, there were more questions. 48:20, you answer a bill list question. 17 seconds later, you flip on a question you don't like, presumably, interrupting the speaker by telling her, again, her, I'm sorry, do you have comments? The 60-minute mark, you jump in to answer a question that was put not to you, but to Mr. Cannon, who didn't even have time to answer, prompting the speaker to say, I'm asking Mr. Cannon. Again, you didn't give him the opportunity to answer, and you jumped in with, I'm answering your question. So this goes back and forth until 71:55, when you finally close this part of the meeting with, here it comes, are there any other questions? So how you can sit there and say, this isn't a question and answer period, I'm really just very confused. So can you please explain, or again, just drop this ridiculous premise, this is not a question and answer period, because it is.
Thank you for your comments.
And your questions.
Thank you.
No other questions? Okay, we're gonna move to the next agenda item, which is, I said, it, I'm sorry, no other comments. I'm sorry, I'm gonna quote Jesse Jackson here. God isn't finished with me yet. I do make mistakes when I talk sometimes. I apologize for that. Okay, let's move to ordinances. We have one introduction and one adoption today. Ordinance amending chapter 396 stormwater management of the borough's revised general ordinances to revise the borough stormwater per recommendations from Monmouth County Planning Board. Are there any council comments on 2024-7?
I guess, Mr. Mayor, just for the benefit, not only of me, but for the public. It seems like the edits are relatively minor and if I'm remembering correctly, these are edits being made to something that we only introduced a few months ago. Is that correct? The
Yes,
stormwater
and
management.
these edits are actually, they were requested by the county, so we have to do them.
So, but it's something we adopted because of the county's recommendation a
Yes,
few months
yes,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
And now they've already
It
come
went
back
through,
to us.
it went through the consistency.
We adopted according to the state model, as we discussed at the introduction. So I may speak louder, please. Part of that review process goes to the Monmouth County Planning Board. They also had comments, so this is their revision.
And again, I'm fine with the comments. I just want to make sure we all understand. This is something that Monmouth County is recommending. So across the state, we could have different versions of this amendment. Or are others, adopting the same amendments?
I believe others are adopting the same amendments.
Most of the amendments I've gotten back are all the same. Generally, it has to do, like, I think there's the word freeholders used someplace in there, things like that. In general, they're not very substantive, they're really just cleanup. But
They don't appear to be substantive. I was just wondering if we're being consistent across the state of New Jersey.
at least across Monmouth County. And I think that's the subsector, because obviously stormwater is far different in the Highlands than it is at the beach. So,
Okay.
that's why the Monmouth County is a regional planning issue. The water doesn't just stay at Bradley Beach. So that's the check on it, to answer your question. It squares up on a regional basis, and the counties are the most imperfect level to do that at their planning boards.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Okay, then I will make a motion to approve the introduction of 2024-7 for introduction.
Second. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Adoptions, we have one adoption, 2024-6. It's an ordinance authorizing the borough clerk to place upon the November 5th, 2024 general election ballot a question asking voters whether or not they wish to establish a charter commission to study and possibly recommend changes to the borough form of government. We'll start with council comments. Are there any council comments?
A brief comment, which is, this is something that I know many residents have asked for, and this, just to be clear, other than the council providing our residents with this opportunity, this has no bearing on any member of this council. We're not, other than as residents will vote, but we are not involved in this. This is creating an opportunity. If the residents want to evaluate changes to our form of government, it will be on the residents. It's the end of my comment.
Any other comment? Okay, I have one comment, and then we can open this to a hearing before adoption. As I said in the introduction, I don't support this. I don't think this is what Bradley Beach needs. It's really a focus on community. I think not so much politics. I think I just believe that this is going backwards. I have two things I'll mention here. One was from a recent CoStar article, and it's just more of a fact. The journalist must have just pulled this out, but it says Bradley Beach began to operate under a small municipality plan on July 1, 1992, after a previous charters commission study recommended it. The so-called strong mayor form of government is only available to municipalities with a population less than 12,000. Beginning in 1950 and until 1992, the borough had a 5-member commission form of government with members choosing mayor among themselves, which is what some of our other towns do around us. I had just one email in, from somebody who asked me about this and said, do people know that from 1915 to 1992, Bradley Beach operated under a 5-member commission form of government where the members chose the mayor. It was clear that the change to the current form of government was in the best interest of the town. Now are we going backwards? So that was a comment from a resident. I tend to agree with that. So, but,
Mayor, your monthly.
I'm sorry.
Your mic.
sorry about that. So, I would, at this point, if there's no other comments, I would close and open the adoption up for, public comments.
I have one comment.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It just, when you spoke, it just made me think of something. I think that the beautiful thing about this referendum and this ordinance is that it gives the people a chance to decide what it is that they want. So we'll let the people talk and see what they think works, and what they think we should do. And it's just to form a committee to decide what needs to be done. And maybe based on things that are happening, this is not the best form of government for this town. So there's no harm in moving forward with this. I think we can let the people speak. A referendum that's written properly will usually get fair responses. So I look forward to seeing what happens in November. Thank you.
Okay, motion to open the public comments on ordinance 2024-6. I'd ask people to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes,
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Finally out there. Any questions? Yes. Or comments?
Don Greenberg, 302 Park Place, and here's a question. How does one apply to be on the commission? Will that be made public? How's that going? Because it says you're gonna elect the 5 commission members at the same exact time. You don't.
I think that's a
Right.
great candidate.
Yeah. There'll be a petition available. Erica will have a petition available.
Will be online as well, right?
No.
Put it online, Don.
Well, we could put it online and print out, yes, but you can't submit signatures online. It's gotta be hard copy.
They can print it out, yeah.
You can, I mean, you can print it out at home, but
And
it
what are
can't,
the-
I don't wanna confuse people. You can't submit signatures online.
Okay. And what are the criteria? How many signatures do you have to get, et cetera? Is that like a
I think we're
county
gonna
thing or a state thing?
have to
or-
spell all that out for the people.
Or is that something that just the council and mayor come up with?
No, it would have to be something we'd spell out, and we have to go by guidelines.
Yeah,
So there are state guidelines for that.
it's in the Faulkner Act.
Oh, it's in the Faulkner.
I just don't know what it is off the top of my head, but,
Yeah.
Eric and I already went about procuring a form. To be prepared, we have not put that form together yet, because obviously the ordinance was literally just adopted a few moments ago.
Okay.
But the form will have how many signatures you need and the requirements under the Faulkner Act, and people can pick them up and turn them in.
Cool, thank you.
Very similar to a mayor packet or a council packet when it's time to run for those positions. It'll
No, thank you.
it'll be a similar type of petition.
Thank you.
Okay?
Great. And I just gotta say, I do support this. There's no harm in investigating the possibilities. That's all we're doing, investigating possibilities.
Thank you, yes.
My name is Harriet 116 Newark. I'm looking forward to this commission being able to be formed. I think, like many things in life, Bradley Beach has outgrown the current form of government, and I think we need to review what our issues are, financial issues, the other issues we have in town, and see how we can do better. And I think the commission can do that. I do have a question. Speaking, Erica, the petition is to elect the commission or the petition to put the
It would
referendum?
be to elect the commission, am I correct?
Yeah, so there'll be, excuse me. 20 days from now, the ordinance isn't in effect yet, until 20 days from now. If there's no challenge or the ordinance is still in effect, then there will be a ballot question placed on the ballot. And there will be candidates listed underneath, and it'll say, do you think there should be a charter study commission fundamentally? The actual wording is in the ordinance, and that there's no changing that, that's in the Faulkner Act.
All right, thank
You
you.
just insert the name. And then it'll be under that, so you vote if yes, and if this passes, who would you want to serve? And then you answer the next question. 5 candidates out of however committee file.
Okay, great, thank you.
Those
Thank
5
you.
candidate names to be on the ballot, correct?
Yes, they have to
Yeah.
file in time essentially
Yeah.
by the nonpartisan, the same deadline for the municipal election here, this is a nonpartisan town. Have to file,
What is that deadline? You know?
it's the first Monday or Tuesday in September, isn't it?
No, August.
You would know better than me.
It's
Oh, it's August?
I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but it is in August, so.
Thank you. Yes.
Tom Street, Colan, 12 Third Avenue. I would appreciate if you approved this. I think it's really interesting that this proposal was originally made by Councilman Sexsmith. Serious, apparently he was acknowledging that it wasn't really working too. So I appreciate this council following up with it. I mean, clearly, no one really envisioned the strong mayor form of government being used like this to block you from meeting with employees and manipulating.
Nobody's blocking anybody, Mr. Cohen.
Yes,
Number
they
one,
are, sir.
no, I'm sorry, it's not the case, but just another point on Mr. Sexsmith. If you recall, I don't know if you do recall this, Mr. Sexsmith, the councilman at the time, Sexsmith, his reason for bringing this up was there was a lot of divergent view by the council about how things were operating, and his challenge was, if you don't like it, go look at something else. That was his real challenge.
Here you go, you don't want to look at something else, you've already voted against it, so.
I'm just telling you what Councilman Sexsmith
Yeah,
said.
yes, but we've had mayors before who were collaborative. And that's really what the public envisions, and hopefully we can get to that with a new form of government.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there's nobody else. We will, this then moves to closing this and vote.
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2024-6, authorizing the borough clerk placed upon the November 5, 2024 general election ballot, the question asking voters whether or not they wish to establish a charter commission to study and possibly recommend changes to the borough's form of government. Is there a second?
Second,
Mr. Noble?
I'd like to add one more thought. Out of the 564 municipalities in the state of New Jersey, only 7 boroughs have our form of government. Probably only 7 because it just doesn't work. My vote is yes.
Mr. Gubatese?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
I'm gonna vote no, and again, I'll just make my brief comment. I don't think this is what we need right now. We've got a tremendous amount going on in town. I think we can be better served with our resources working on something else, and I would just check that number. I think the number is more like 14 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's still very small.
Oh, it is. It's not a
Out of
large.
554, it's
It's not,
very
it's
small.
not a large number. You're
A
absolutely.
lot of
Yeah.
change since
Yeah.
then. It's-
Okay, we're gonna move to number 10, communications. We've got 4 communications, public service, public works, some seasonal employees, the beach staff, employees, we're gearing up for that. And then the environmental commission and the library board, the couple that, I'll just mention a few of those. Because I do want to thank 2 members on the environmental commission, Dan Leas, who I don't know how many years he was on the environmental commission, but I think he was on for a number of years, but he just kind of had some other priorities to focus on, respectfully resigned. And Kathy Mitchell also, we thank them for their service. Dennis Martens and Katie Saladuty Sorensen have accepted roles on the environmental commission, and I know that they met the other night with the new chair, and we actually, I should mention this, the chair has shifted to Jeff Curtis. Liz Hernandez has accepted a new position on the State Board of Health and just had some other things going on. So she's still on the environmental commission, but they switched off from a leadership perspective. And then Susan Bonsilver has accepted the mayor's alternate on the library board. Okay, let's move to resolutions. We have a number of individual resolutions. Well, let's do the consent first. On the consent, I'll just read it quickly, 2024-102, authorizing the appointment of a special class 1 law enforcement officer attending June class of Monmouth County Police Academy. 2024-103, approval of the Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey to conduct their annual 5K walk on October 5th, 7:30 to 12:30 to pass through. 2024-104, approval of the Asbury Park firefighters local 384 to conduct their 5K run Saturday, June 22nd, 8 to 9. 2024-105, approval of United Engine Fire to conduct their 5K run. 5K is going on here, August 17th, from 6:30 to 12. This is the Bradley Beach 5K. Right.
Yes, it is, yes, the
The Bradley Beach 5K.
fire department.
Yes. I'm sorry,
The
Todd, I
flag
need
with
to get
BBFE
5K
influencing.
Bradley Beach on this to make sure people understood
Yeah.
it. And I see the person who's organizing this and has been running it for how many years? 15 years is here to make sure that happens. Approval of the Surfrider Foundation Jersey Shore chapter to conduct their chapter meeting on Fifth Avenue Gazebo, June 5th, 2024. 2024-107, approving block party for Burlington Avenue. I guess this is the second annual on July 20th, 2024, with a rain date of Sunday, July 21st. 2024, and then the last 2024-108, approval of a lien redemption refund for 613 McCabe, the amount of $26,760.05. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Okay, individual resolutions. We have introduction of 2024 budget, read only. I'll make a motion to approve 2024-86.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
No.
Mr. Gubatose?
I've been stating for 5 weeks now that I cannot approve this until I understand it. In order to understand that, I need access to the CFO, but I will vote no.
Ms. Mahoney?
No, we need more details, so that we can see how appropriations and revenues are totaling up to the funds. I'm trying to work with the mayor to see if we could.
You're not casting a negative ball on that, I hope.
No, I'm talking about how it's, trepidatious for both of us, because we're both talking about concessions. So that if possibly, Councilman Gubatose.
Shouldn't be talking about private negotiations.
Oh, okay, I know, but it doesn't involve me paying you any money. So if we, maybe pare down some questions, maybe we could get some time with the CFO. So because if we don't get time with the CFO, I am not ready to approve this because we have questions that we need answers, and Councilman Gubatose is even more strict about that because he really has questions that he needs answers, and I can't see how we can't work together to find some time if we set parameters on things that we can't come together, and Councilman Gubatose and I can sit down and talk to the CFO and get some answers. And then we'll feel satisfied, and I think you will all feel better about the information that we can get back to you about what is actually happening with our budget. So I'm gonna vote no.
Thank you.
Councilman Weber?
No what?
In the middle of a vote, Mr. Mayor, maybe I should know.
Good, Councilman.
Okay. So this is the third time this budget has been introduced, and the same thing's gonna happen. And as happened the last 2 times, what they say, the definition of insanity is and all that. I just want to emphasize that, I don't see this council changing their position until they get questions answered and have time with the CFO and all that. So I would hope that this third time of voting down the introduction of the budget would get something to change on the administration's end. And I will just say, I searched the memory banks, and a very long time ago, like every time that I've done this budget thing up here, I've had time with the CFO. It wasn't any extra special favor asked. It was just part of the process. Sat down one-on-one, talked to the CFO. We could probably streamline that this time, and they probably wouldn't have to sit down with each and every single one of us, but they definitely have to sit down with 1 or 2 of us. So if we can make that happen, I think the budget will get introduced, and then we can move from there. I will say, it does hurt the town to be passing a budget this late. Okay, we got department heads, some in the room, some not in the room, but it's problematic for them to not know, like literally half the year is gonna be over before we pass the budget, and that's not ideal. It's always gonna be some of the year, but it's the less it is, the better. So there are consequences to this. I'm very aware of the consequences. But I really wish the administration would just take a different tack, because otherwise we're gonna do the same thing 2 weeks from now, so I will vote no.
Mayor Fox?
I vote yes. I believe we've worked very hard to answer the questions that have come forward. We spent a lot of hours on that. And I know the last set that we answered was on April 17th. I just hope that we can move forward also. So I would yes, thank you. Okay, let's move to the next agenda item, which is, sorry about that, the next resolution, which is 2024-109, daily and weekly beach badges. So I think Erica pointed out, our clerk pointed out that we didn't formalize any vote on daily beach badges in November. We focused more on seasonal, senior, junior.
Yes.
She just wanted to make sure we formalize that.
Well, because the beach season is coming up, so the beach manager.
Yes, that would be
needs to know
a
what's
good
going
reason
on
to know
here.
what the beach prices are. We have provided an estimate of fund balances, and our fund balance I'll just make one or two comments on the beaches come down from about 900 to about 600. It's very high right now, and it's high because the surplus is high in the beach utility because sure, I'm sorry. Because I was looking for the document here that I can't put my hands on, I'll just do it from memory. That in 2021, the COVID year, we just blew every forecast out of the water, number one, and two, I think we had a beach price in 2021 for dailies of $14. We peeled that down to $12 in 2022 because we experienced a very positive outcome for 2021. We continue to have a positive outcome in 2022, 2023, and hopefully in 2024. But we have seen a deterioration. We reviewed that in November. We have seen, and we have forecasted about 5% deterioration. Why is that? It's not because of the Bradley Beach beaches or the experience. It's that travel, people getting out, post-COVID, people are now migrating back to other vacations, other things to do. So we put a slight reduction in our forecast for this year. The only other two comments I would make are that we did in November, when we voted on beach badge prices, we did have an analysis that said one recommendation was to go from $80 to $90 on seasonals, and that was we ended up going to 85, and we said 40. One of the recommendations was $40 for seniors and juniors. We went to 37. So the benefit of that move, or that approval, was about $62,000 that enhances our operating. Bless you. Had we gone to the $90 and $40, it would have been an additional $66,000, which we opted not to put in place. The only other point I would make is that 2 points actually, that we are funding, we have debt relative to the outfall pipe at Ocean Park McCabe. Bless you. It's causing some real angst here. That debt, I did not get the number, but I think it's a couple hundred. I don't know, Mary, if you have that number, but it's a couple $100,000 per year. So my point is, we're going to see, probably, if all things are equal and we do our due diligence this year with hiring and operating, I think we'll see a continued deterioration in the beach utility surplus. It's not, but I want to make everybody clear, our beach forecast is somewhere between, is somewhere around $2.6 million a year we operate. I think it's 2.5 or 2.6. So to have a $660,000 forecasted surplus, we're still in very good shape from a surplus perspective. But I can say that from 22 to 24, it's gone from 919 to 750 to 660. So it's going to continue to go down. Why is it going down? Minimum wage and wages are going up. Our operating costs are up. So that's why that's going to happen. You know, are we in the red zone? Not at all. But the value of a dollar increase in dailies is about $80,000. We sell about 80,000 badges in a good year. The last 3 years, we've sold about 80,000 badges. So if we opted to go up a dollar, it's an $80,000 gain, if you will. If we opt to do nothing, it's where we are right now, because right now we have forecasted 12. So that's my comments, and I'll be quiet at this point.
Yeah, I'll just make a couple quick comments. When we did discuss this last year, I think I was the one person who suggested we go to 13. Keep in mind, the beach utility is separate and apart from the current fund. We don't pay taxes. None of us as residents pay taxes to fund the beach utility. The funding of the utility largely comes from badges, right? The seasonal as well as the daily. As the mayor said, we've been depleting the surplus the last couple of years. We've dropped it about 100,000 a year. We added, the mayor didn't know the exact number, but you said around 200,000, and I think it is $190,000 of new debt. And $190,000 for beach badges. That one extra dollar, we sell about 100,000 badges. So that one extra dollar is $100,000. We've added 200,000 of new debt. We've been deteriorating the surplus. 100,000 or so a year, could be as much as 200,000 2 years ago. Right now, I'm asking questions about this, but we're taking revenue from the beach utility, $40,000 from parking meters, taking it into the current fund. I'm asking that, among other questions, don't have an answer yet as to if we can even legally justify doing that. But for all these reasons, I think adding 100,000 of revenue is just sound business. And but nobody wants to increase badge prices. I understand that. Nonetheless, the mayor said we're not in a red zone yet, and that's good. And I don't want to get into a red zone. So I plan to vote no on this because I think we should be at $13.
Can we change?
Well, I don't think we have, do we have a resolution that says 12?
It
Okay.
has last year's amounts on there. What you decide is, that's up to all of you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm looking at
It can't be in
the
Got it.
resolution.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I understand your point.
Can we change to 13?
You can amend it, yeah, amend it to 13, absolutely.
Okay.
If that's what you all
So-
choose to do.
Let's do that then.
Well, I'll vote no, depending on the-
Oh, John will vote.
So just, I just got this kind of hot off the press relative to somewhat other people are doing. Because we didn't have this in November. We didn't have what other towns are doing. But we did, I asked our deputy clerk to collect a little bit of data. The average daily on a weekend is $12. The average weekday is $11. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 12 towns. I'll just tell you who changed. Allenhurst went up. Asbury Park actually went down. Belmar went up. Madison,
Pardon me, Mayor.
Sure.
What did Belmar go up to?
$2. They went from $10 to $12, $12. So now they're the same as us. Again, that's a good point. Let me just bring that up.
Yeah,
So Allenhurst went from 10 to $12 on weekends. Belmar went up $2 on both, 10 to $12. There's only 5 or 6 that went up, so I'll just read through them. Manasquan was 10-10, they're now 12-12. Because there are different, our beach daily prices 7 days a week. We don't differentiate. Spring Lake. $12 last year, $20 this year.
what?
Yep. So those are the ones we know of at this point. I'm not making any comments about another town because it's gonna come back and bite us in the ankle. So those are just some comparisons, but on average, let me just say, Deal is $12, Lock Harbor $12, Long Branch is $9, Ocean Grove's $12, Seagirt's $12, so there's a lot of $12 in there. My view, I share Councilman Gubatosi's view that it's better to get ahead of this than fall behind this. I haven't really thought that much about a weekday versus a weekend. I think that just complicates our lives. And if we're gonna take it, take it. But I would be in favor of the 13 because the number is actually a hair less than 100. It's more like $80,000 because we sold about 80,000. We're forecasting about 80,000 units of sale for dailies this year, weather permitting.
I'd be in for 13.
Okay.
John, no.
Yeah.
Mr. Weber would like free, right, John?
Free would be
Nothing
nice.
is free.
Yeah.
Somebody's gotta pay for it.
So does somebody want to amend the resolution?
Who makes
Somebody
the
wanna make a
motion to
motion?
amend?
Motion to amend the resolution to $13 per daily.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
No,
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Now you can make a motion to adopt?
Or we made a motion to amend. it.
Yeah, you made a motion to amend it and then motion to. Not that.
Somebody want to do that or?
I make a motion to adopt the daily and weekly badge costs for 2024.
No public comment on it?
resolution.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's with changes.
With changes. is the
With
motion.
No, with changes.
Second change.
Aaron.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Since this already passed, we have to figure out if this is about getting people on the beach or if this is about money, so I'm voting no.
Okay. Mayor Fox?
Yes. Appreciate your comments, Council.
Okay, and it's going from 12 to 13. So I have,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, next individual resolution, I think we'll get through the rest a little bit quicker. Authorization of a request for general financial support under state.
Actually, you forgot 110, the beach operation schedule.
Oh, I didn't underline that. I'm sorry.
That's-
Beach operation schedule for 2024. Just for people's knowledge, we asked the beach manager to formally put a schedule out and we passed that via resolution. So motion to pass 2024-110.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes,
Mayor Fox?
Yes, thank you for that pickup. 2024-111, authorizing request for general financial support under the state future year 2025 budget for a regional flood study. I think we brought this up at the last meeting. Neptune City and us are working on a joint study. And it really comes from that late September, I think September 30th, October 1st, it was the significant rain we had. It affected Ocean Grove much more significantly than us, but what we're asking for is to get some financial support to do a study. So that's what this is for. So I make a motion to approve 2024-111.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick comment again. I missed the last meeting, so to the extent there was discussion, I'm not up to speed, but the wording does talk about that we wish to submit a request to the state of New Jersey for $500,000 to conduct a flood study. And then it says approves, then we're being asked to approve the funding request of the above study. We're not being asked to approve the 500,000, we're being asked to approve.
The funding request.
The
An
funding
application,
request,
yeah.
yes. Mhm.
Okay,
Right. So it's a fairly large group. We have OEM sitting in on it and I think engineering. I sat in 2 meetings. Mike Besham, who's the CFO of Neptune, is chairing this. So I think we'll get support. And I think, I want to say that Senator Gopal attended 1 or 2 of these meetings. So
so do we have an idea of what the dollar amount is for, like, what would the application cost? $2,000-3,000? What are we approving?
we're approving to enter into, to actually make this request for this, for the funding. I think Mr. Besham's group is gonna they're basically doing the application.
Is there a cost to the borough to do this?
I don't think that there is now.
No.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll make a motion to approve 2024-111.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
yes.
Mr. Gubertozzi?
Yes,
Ms. Mahoney?
Yeah.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes, we've already covered 2024-112. I will go to 2024-113, authorizing settlement of pending litigation before Superior Court of New Jersey, entitled McGuire versus Borough of Valley Beach, docket number MONL 2853-23. Motion to approve 2024-113.
second,
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Gubertozzi?
yes,
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Okay, there are no announcements. We'll move to mayor and council reports. We start with Councilman Weber.
Sure thing. Does everybody or does anybody feel like this was a bit of a calmer meeting than normal? Maybe shorter too.
Yes.
Okay, does everybody see those flowers sitting there?
Yes.
Okay, it's the flowers. Those are Erica's, and she could have kept them in her office, but they're out here and the fragrance of lilac that is permeating the room is calming everybody down, and we're having a better meeting on that front. Opinions were still expressed and agreements or, disagreements were had, but it just seems calmer, and I think it's the flowers, so.
Thank you,
we might-
Erica.
We might be on to something, thank you, Erica. Yeah, okay, so that said,
So if I wear a big flower hat, like every meeting.
flowers at every meeting, put it in the budget, all right. Because we talked about this, charter study commission, I just wanna, remind everybody that if you made an organizational chart of the borough of Bradley Beach, the voters are at the top. So that's why, just to assure everybody, you are getting your say as to whether you want a charter study commission or not, and then we would get the say on who would be on that commission. So because you're at the top of the chart. I want to thank Dan Lees for years on the environmental commission. He's been on for a very long time, I think as long as I can remember, so that was a good long run for him. I appreciate that, and congrats to the new people stepping up for that. Yeah, and it was clerk week last week. Clerk week this week. We passed the resolution at the last meeting, but that's hence the flowers. The Main Street group that was mentioned, a group of us, the mayor, the administrator, myself, I'm mentioning this because the mayor's newsletter said there were council members, plural with an S on the end. There's one, it's me, just letting you know, I'm on the.
Councilman, I'm a member of the council.
Right, okay, well, it says mayor and council, so, okay, I just want to clear the confusion, it's, I'm the other person. We have Main Street owners on that, and, so far, so Ben Matlack, of course, our engineer participates. So, so far, so good. And because I am out of ink at home, I have to read these reports from here. So for the first aid report, for the operational period ending today, the squad responded to 6 day calls and 7 night calls. 8 were for medical, 1 for fire. The squad conducted 1 drill for the safety and education of the membership. They provided medical overwatch for the Tears Foundation walk. There were no out-of-town mutual aid requests, and the squad requested no mutual aid for this operational period. Squad filled 100% of their assignments for this operational period. They, of course, are still looking for volunteers. They offer free training for qualified individuals. Anyone wanting to do this can find an application on the borough's website. And if you will now bear with me, I will go and find the fire report, which is right here. For the month ending April 30th, the fire department responded to 2 day calls and 3 night calls for a total of 5 calls. 3 were for alarm activations, 1 was for odor of gas, and 1 was for a flooded residence. The department conducted 2 trainings, 1 for engine operations, 1 for bailout harness operations. There were no mutual aid requests. The department fulfilled 100% of their assignments for this operational period. They are also still looking for volunteers, and they offer free training for qualified individuals. anyone wishing to volunteer can find an application on the website. The Fletcher Lake Commission, meets tomorrow. So this is a little bit old news. They just want you to know that they work for the betterment of both towns, both communities. So, you know, Fletcher Lake, we share with, Ocean Grove, and there's people from both communities on that. But they also want you to know that they tried last year a test of planting some perennials around the lake. I don't know where, so don't ask me. Just in an effort to plant things that require less maintenance and watering, and they succeeded. So that's a potential path that they're gonna go down, and maybe save the borough some money by having perennials instead of plants that need planting every year or lots of other care. For shade tree, there's planting. Neither Jane or I were there, so I will talk about it, but we got a very good report. They had a great planting on, actually, Councilman Gubitosi was there.
The mayor.
And the mayor was there as well. Great, I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know.
As I was teamed up with Sergeant Solaro.
All right, excellent. So a bunch of trees got planted. I do want to emphasize when it comes to trees, planting new trees is great, but we really, really have to think hard about saving the mature trees that are in town. And, you know, you can't put a tree or two in the ground, or even three, after you've taken down this big giant tree and call it equal, because it's just not. You would literally have to plant hundreds of trees for the services that big old tree is providing in terms of shade and everything. So, planting new ones, great. Let's just keep an eye on preserving our old trees. And that is the extent of my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mahoney.
I don't have too much. The Environmental Commission met on Monday, May 6th, and we've talked about the changes in leadership there and the members who have served a very long time and have left, and the new members that we have. The beach sweeps that they did a couple weeks ago was a success, even though the weather was terrible. They had 66 volunteers and they picked up a lot of plastic. The number one plastic piece that they picked up was the tips of those little cigars.
Ciparellos,
Yes.
Ought to be a law.
not the Noblies. Different cigar. Not related.
Yeah, so that was the number one item that they picked up off the beach. So they also, kind of weird, they found a large dead animal in a bag. They did. So that was given to the police department, right? Yes. We don't know what it was.
No.
Anyway, it was sad. I love animals, so that makes me very sad. The mayor and I were at the Tears Organization Walk last week, and we tried to stay warm. And
Cold.
it was very cold. I got to pull out my winter coat again. I'm hoping I can put it in my closet and never take it out again till, I don't know, November. But that was a great event that they have every year, and it was a beautiful ceremony. And the land use board will meet on Thursday, May 16th.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Lucas. Sorry, I'm just getting notes.
As the liaison to the police department, I want to start my police report once again, congratulating our new chief of police, James Arnold. Sounds very good, chief, to be able to say that. And I also want to thank Detective Lieutenant Browning for his report. It's not particularly lengthy, but our police department did arrest a local man for cyber harassment. And another local subject was arrested for driving while intoxicated. I wanted to note that many of you have probably heard me speak about this up here, as well as seen some various Facebook ads and whatever, as the borough's been trying to raise money for our fallen heroes. We have 19 fallen heroes who are recognized currently on our respective monuments. This year we plan to add a 20th. And I'm not going to share the name now because I'm hoping that'll pique your curiosity and you'll all be able to show up for our Memorial Day service to see who the 20th fallen heroes that's being added. But But I'm disappointed to say we've fallen short on our fundraising. So we are definitely going to have some recognition take place at Memorial Day. But some of the things we had hoped to raise enough money to purchase, most significantly, banners, a couple $1,000, as well as a new I don't know, I think granite monument, not particularly big, but maybe, I don't know, maybe roughly this size, 2 feet by 3 feet or so. That would include all of the names. Right now, many of you may not realize this, we have the War Memorial at Riley Park, which is World War I focused. We have a World War II memorial by that rec center field. It's called War Memorial Field. That has World War II fallen heroes. And at the base of that monument is our lone Vietnam veteran or Vietnam fallen hero. So they're a bit dispersed across the borough. And our goal is to get one plaque that covers everybody in one place in Riley Park. So we're going to continue fundraising efforts through Veterans Day. Our hope is to officially kick this off with the things we hope to purchase by Veterans Day. But nonetheless, we will be unveiling the name of our 20th fallen hero, who we just had not recognized up to this point, but it's a gentleman who died a number of years ago. So more to come on that. You'll be hearing a lot more shortly with Memorial Day rapidly approaching. Also, the BBBCA is planning an Alliance Week. I may not be getting the terminology right. Looking for Paula Gavin, who I think might have been here but left. Anyway, one day of that week, June 7th, I am responsible as the council person. I believe each one of us has been given a date and an event. So my responsibility will be to help coordinate a small celebratory function at the Maritime Forest at the very north end of our beach. As most of you know, that Maritime Forest has been 20 years in the making, but we really culminated a lot of that work just a few years ago in a dedication ceremony to former Mayor Julie Schreck. And this is just an opportunity to continue to introduce people to the Maritime Forest, better understand the background of it and how it serves resiliency for the borough. So that will be June 7th at 5 p.m. and notices will be coming. Again, that's only a month away. So some good things I think on the horizon for us, and that's one of them. My final comment is just really frustration. I think I've said something about this at every meeting I've been at. I don't understand why we have gone almost a year and a half trying to establish a contract with our local 152. I know a number of you referenced that in your comments today. I'm sure our team is working hard, but I just don't understand why it's taking this long. And as far as I can tell, I haven't been updated by anyone to tell me there is an end in sight. So as far as I know, there's no end in sight, and I just don't understand it. And I just want to make sure I make that statement publicly. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Council President.
Thank you. On behalf of the governing body, I would like to thank the members and the volunteers of the Shade Tree Commission that came out Saturday on May 4th. Larry Bagwell, Nick Korsich, Ann Gupatosi, Noel Weinberg, Caroline Davidson, and Susan Parasol. You guys rock. You planted over 21 trees throughout the borough. They were in 3rd Avenue, Fountain Park, Sylvan Lake, and several residential areas as well. The plantings included 6 Honor Me trees that were dedicated to loved ones. That raised $2,100. So that helped subsidize this planting. May 6th, the students from the Bradley Beach Elementary School Environmental Club and Garden Club, along with Shade Tree Commission members, Larry Bagwell, Nick Korsich, Noel Weinberg, and the liaison, Jane DeNoble, planted the Pollinator Point, and my back can vouch for this. We planted almost 50 plants that will help feature, that are featuring native flowering plants and grasses to encourage pollination and provide food for wildlife It's located Second Avenue between Beach and Central. Take a look. It's still a work in progress, but it's pretty awesome. And the next tree planting will be the end of September. Next, with the Tourism Commission. The Tourism Commission has been approved for free marketing collateral from the Monmouth County Board of County Commissioners through a destination marketing organization, American Rescue Plan grant was awarded to the Monmouth County Division of Tourism. The Bradley Beach Tourism Commission is thrilled for this support and focused on attracting very happy visitors.
Yes.
Bless you. The Tourism Commission has ordered signs to promote delivery and takeout from our local businesses. Each sign will be posted at each beach entrance, also in Riley Park, with a QR code that directs potential customers to a site listing all Bradley Beach eating establishments. And the summer entertainment series will start July 6th with Kenny K and the Way. On to the school. Bradley Beach Elementary School is celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week. And they are acknowledging and celebrating the dedication and hard work of their teachers. They are excited to announce a Spirit Week in their honor, featuring fun activities and events each day, showing their gratitude and support for the incredible educators who make a difference in their lives every day. And that completes my report. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Vice President.
You're welcome.
I have a couple of comments. I'll try to keep mine short. The Mayor's Wellness Committee is sponsoring a blood drive on Tuesday, May 14th from 11:30 to 5:30 at the Bradley Beach Firehouse. We've had great participation on past drives, and we really encourage you to consider participating. This is one of our key charges as a wellness committee, trying to promote health and well-being of all. So
And if I may add, they have excellent snacks afterward. It's definitely worth it. Yes.
Main Street, we had a couple of comments around Main Street. This team is working on a recommendation. We have had a couple meetings and they've been pretty productive, so I'm pleased with that. We have had, we're gonna have our third meeting with CME on Friday. We're trying to finalize the north side promenade, what are the possibilities, and then we could present that to the north side promenade building. To the public and the council, that's getting very close. We are meeting on the promenade grant on Friday, and there's some initial just estimates from that we want to talk through. And then not Friday, we're meeting with the borough administrator, myself, we're meeting with the mayor of Avon and that business administrator, borough administrator. We're trying to get, there's a number of things on the docket as it relates to the relationship with Avon. We've got the outfall pipe on Sylvan Lake that's going to probably start September if we get the pushed up date, end of September, which will be similar to what happened with McCabe and Ocean Park. The difference is it's a lot more complex, So we're working through that. We just fixed that flue, and I don't have the right term for it. I call it a flue, the gate. And that's a temporary fix. So we've got a sequence when we're going to replace that total unit. So we need to talk about that. We just got this $2.4 million grant from the Transportation Trust, and we need to kind of talk about where does that go. And this is just a preliminary discussion on that because we haven't really talked about it. But the key interdependence on that is there's been a group working on the natural shoreline and improvements to Sylvan Lake. We now have to reconcile that. So there's a lot of points of reconciliation. So we're just trying to, the Avon team, well, it's really the Avon leadership and us, we're just going to have a conversation about how do we move this forward and bring the right people into it going forward. So we'll be framing that and getting back with people shortly on that. Quickly on the library recreation, there's upcoming activities. You can check those on the website. I do want to mention two that are interdependent relative to the library. Friday, May 17th, 1:45 to 3, the middle school is doing, I think it's the third year now, the One Beach, One Read. It's gonna be supported it's gonna be supported by the 5th to 8th grade students. The discussion is going to be on the book Mexikid, with a comic book workshop to follow, which was very successful last year, something very similar. Registration is required, but it's really a great program that's volunteer led and, you know, improving our literacy and engagement is great. On Tuesday, May 21st, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Bradley Beach Firehouse Banquet Hall, there'll be a One Beach, One Read discussion. That book is Magic Strings of Frankie Presto by Mitch Albom. All of Bradley Beach is invited to read this book, and there'll be a come together discussion. It's a potluck dinner and a book discussion. So it's I attended last year. We probably had 40 or 50 people there, and it was very interesting. And the books, I think if you look at the website, there's places where you can acquire those 2 books. So I just wanted to make that point, and I just wanted to make one other point. Relative to Councilman Gubertosi's comment on the contract, we actually briefed the council on that 2 executive sessions ago, and I thought we had clarity on where we were. So I'll make an effort to make sure that we do that again, because we are pretty square. We pretty much understand where we are and where we're going, but we will update on that again.
There's no end in sight, correct, Mayor?
I'm sorry?
There's no end in sight. Is there an end in sight? Are
Yeah,
we close?
well, I think what was articulated before was that PERC is providing us fact finding. We're going through the fact finding. We're gonna move forward. So there is an end in sight, yes.
Okay, that is not the update we received. Perk fact finding does not mean end in sight.
Well, no,
And
that's
it's been a
the
year.
next step.
That's the next step. It's not.
But
When are we gonna be able to pay these people for last year and this year?
That's include the contract.
That's the problem.
Okay,
I
thank
just
you.
wanted to comment also on that. We see a pattern here where we're having a volunteer resident in these meetings, but not one of a council person. Like, why can't one council person be in the negotiation process on your team? Why can't a council person be on the team that's working on the budget? I just don't understand why. I mean, we ask questions, we don't get them answered. It's very frustrating, and I want to apologize for that. And I want to add one more thing. I forgot to apologize. I missed the meeting last week. I had an invitation I couldn't refuse. I went to Europe with my brother, and I want to apologize that I missed the meeting, but I just didn't want to have unexplained absence. It was the first meeting I missed since I was, put my hand on the Bible, said the oath of the office, and I apologize, but I'm glad to be back. And good to be back to work here. Good to see all these faces.
Well, you look as broad as all, I'm sure it's.
I brought chocolate. It's even better.
Okay, well, now back to council comments. Thank you. Public comments.
So maybe you want to hear from us again.
No. that's okay. Yeah.
I appreciate you for having me. Just, I want the council to be aware of the fact that I screenshot the email that I received from the mayor regarding the members of the budget team. And I find it interesting in view of what the discussion was, that we have a volunteer who is participating in these negotiations, and yet we have a council person who is a CPA, an attorney, and has extreme credentials to handle this in a very professional way. And it's very confusing to me as a resident, while our council person isn't there, but we have a volunteer there. Now, as supposedly a volunteer, I'd like to know how many hours he has volunteered and what role he is playing there, and what role our VA is playing in these negotiations. We have a VA. Why do we have to have a volunteer? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Kathleen Morales, 602 Fourth Avenue. My comments relate to the Bradley Food Pantry, and I will start by reading a piece from the main newsletter from St. James Episcopal Church. And it reads,
It's crucial to address the misinformation, distortions, and disparaging remarks circulating about our church and our community. Bishop Sally's response to the Coaster's article encapsulates the situation accurately, stating in quotes, "I am disappointed with the way the food pantry has used media attention, half-truths, and even outright misrepresentations to apply pressure on the church to make accommodations in their favor at the expense of the congregation and the community." Now, the following are my remarks that I posted yesterday on the Bradley Beach Facebook page, Preserving Bradley Beach. My husband and I have owned our home on 4th Avenue, directly across from St. James Episcopal Church for 22 years. 20 of those years have been peaceful. Like most, if not all of our 600 block friends and neighbors, we have supported the Bradley Beach Pantry with both food and monetary donations. Some have volunteered their time. We are heartbroken that food insecurity has become both a national and local crisis. We believe in helping others. I'm writing for my husband and myself. This is personal. We have been slandered and maligned in the press and on social media, and actually here at one of these council meetings. We have been gossiped about in local restaurants. We made a decision in March of last year to not contact local news and not post on social media. To those of you who have posted inaccurate information, distorted the truth, made derogatory comments about us, I am surprised at your very unchristian-like behavior. You don't know us. You've never spoken with us. You couldn't pick us out of a crowd. To those who implied we are racist and don't want those people in our neighborhood, we are those people. My husband was born in a small, dusty town, Chalchihuites, Mexico. His parents moved to America when Charlie was a baby. He grew up in a one-bedroom tenement in Hell's Kitchen. The rest is history. One of struggle, hard work, believing in the American dream, celebrating the canonization of his grandfather by Pope John Paul in May 2000. Our family was in Rome that memorable day to participate in the ceremony proclaiming sainthood for 25 Mexican martyrs, including my husband's grandfather, Saint Manuel Morales. That's quite an extraordinary family history, especially for those people. Judge not, lest you be judged. Matthew 7:1. Facts matter. Truth matters. A few facts. At no time during this 15-month period did the 600 block neighbors request or demand the closing of the Bradley Beach Pantry. We believe that was up to management, those in charge, the decision makers. We presented the issues and the challenges. It was not our responsibility to manage the problems. Our expressed desired outcome was a reduction in the days of operation. I personally have known the director of the Bradley Pantry for several years. We're in a book club together. About 2 years ago, I spoke with her about the increase in traffic on our street and the problem with cars blocking our driveway regularly. A few weeks later, she brought us 2 orange cones to use. She said, "I've been watching your driveway and I agree it's a problem." I thanked her. Within a month, both cones were crushed and damaged as cars parked on them blocking our driveway. Charlie and I have never called the police about our blocked driveway. Instead, we often walked across the street to ask who owned the red Ford or the blue Chevy. Your car is blocking our driveway and we need to get out. The majority of the responses were, "I'll just be a minute," with little regard to our being late for a doctor appointment. Last year, a gathering of 600 block neighbors, pantry leadership, and Canon Yarsiah, Father James to us, as we have a very friendly relationship, we met at the pantry. One-on-one conversations took place and issues were shared. There was an agreement that the pantry had outgrown its space. The ongoing issues of traffic, blocked driveways, 5 a.m. commercial food delivery trucks, public urination, trash on our lawns, loud voices and long lines beginning at 7 a.m. were unacceptable. Everyone agreed. Everyone. Subsequently, a meeting of Father James, the church vestry, and the pantry leadership was held. The 600 block neighbors were not in attendance.
It was at that meeting that a reduction in the number of days of operation was proposed. That was not acceptable to pantry leadership. Compromise was not acceptable. Pantry leadership resigned. This was told directly in person to me by Father James. There have been several meetings throughout this time, in person with representatives from the pantry leadership, the 600 block neighbors, Father James, and on Zoom with Bishop Sally French. I was in attendance at the majority of them. Meetings were conducted with professionalism, mutual respect, and candor. The goal always was to work towards a resolution. The recent communication from Bishop French, Episcopal Diocese, announcing the gradual reduction in hours was a decision of the diocese. The announcement of the May 17th, 2024 closing of the Bradley Food Pantry was communicated in the newspaper and in the church made newsletter. That decision was made by the pantry leadership. My husband and I learned of this just as most of you did. Our hope is that the Bradley Pantry is successful, finding a new suitable location that can accommodate the growing number of clients, parking for the increase in cars, and handling commercial truck traffic. We hope for a peaceful transition. Kathy and Troy Wells.
Thank you.
You can to 218 that. First off, I applaud you, Ken, for standing up here and reading everything you did. It's been very unfair what's been going on for those on the 600 block of 400 on for that. And again, if the leadership would just step up and explain again, be transparent, a lot of this wouldn't happen. But for them to take the hit, it is really unnecessary and inappropriate. I have a question. I'm sure it's not going to get answered, but is our BA required to be here during our meetings, Mayor?
She is here.
Okay. So thank you. So my second question is, are we to assume that Mr. Fehrenbach is still the primary liaison for the DPW contract talks? Yes, no, maybe so?
I'm gonna keep you to comment too.
Okay. And then I would, well, not that one's assumed, but I'll assume that also means he's still acting in some type of volunteer capacity as a VA. Again, as a resident, I find it disturbing. I find it more disturbing that tonight he decided to sit on the floor in the back corner of this room, feverishly taking notes, while our acting BA sat in that when she was here, and didn't take one note during the entire evening. Not so much as a follow-up question for a resident, any of that. I'm even more disturbed that not only has she been gone for
Okay,
3 different instances, I have comments, it's a comment, I'm just speaking comment, that she literally has been and is currently in the back room, just sitting, watching this meeting with Michelle Wiley. I have a real problem with that. That we are paying $110,000, $120,000 for someone who clearly cannot do the job, does not want to do the job.
Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you, but I have 5 minutes to talk.
You really needed to be,
No, it
You
doesn't,
really need to be
no,
respectful.
it's
No,
5
no,
minutes.
I'm-
Let's go to law. I am allowed to say what I want. I'm speaking of fact. You cannot stop me, but thank you anyway.
you're speaking of opinion, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not opinion, because if we go back there right now, we can all see her sitting with Michelle Wiley, but we're not gonna go there right now. I'm giving you the fact that it is unconscionable that you continue to play the charade, that you continue to block and not allow any one of our 4 very competent council people to be a part of this administration, to make us run well, to make us run efficiently, to speak on behalf of all of us who have voted for them. All I can say is I hope the council continues to say no when you don't get your answers. So if you get nothing about the budget, please continue to say no. Captain Sunapee, Chief Arnold, we applaud you, we thank you. We have already seen a difference in the force. It is nice to see police officers waving, saying hello, stopping and saying, how are you? Actually having a laugh. That is what a tiny little town in New Jersey could be like, and it should be like. So yes, we are so welcome for the change. We want to see more of it. We are here to support you as well as we can with whatever you need. And you'll see that many of us do believe in Bradley Beach. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Nancy Meadow, Ocean Park condominiums. So much to say, such a little time. I want to reiterate, as I think I've said, since October 2022, maybe, about the Ocean Park pipe, that I am still waiting to hear from our Oprah attorney from a letter I sent on February 18th. I find this unacceptable. And now as you're moving about another pipe. Hello, who said these things are gonna happen? I hate it when I'm right. And on that thing, and at the end of my 5 minutes, Mr. Cannon, if you could answer me, it might be helpful. Well, it would be helpful. I am waiting for a reply to a letter that I sent to the mayor on April 17th. Because since December 15th, I've been trying to resolve a landlord not registering a rental property. And I keep following up with Oprah's and I keep being told it's not listed. And then the code department doesn't do anything about it. So I went to the next chain of command, which would be the mayor, who says he answers everything. And Mr. Cannon, what I'd like to hear from you at the end is, what is the next step up? That's going to maybe shed some light on this for me. That being said, I have also said before that I believe we need 2 managers in Borough Hall, business manager and an office manager, because I am sick of the office management and the website that goes from bad to worse. And I would like to point out that on April 30th, I went to get a pickleball lesson at 6:30, because it said the date, it was from like 9:30 AM to 10:30 PM. It's not, so I went there for no reason. I would also like to say that they said that there were lessons on Tuesday, May 6th. I believe today is Wednesday, the 8th, so that would be Tuesday, the 7th. I don't understand why I'm paying these people. Seriously, it's not funny anymore, it's embarrassing. Personally, if I worked there, I would turn off that website. Which also, may I say, does not list the board of directors of the rec center. And it's funny that all of these issues I have kind of focus in one direction. Bless you. Same with tourism, they had a meeting, yeah. The agenda wasn't posted 48 hours ahead of time. I don't know if it has to, but I would suggest that, again, you have to legislate that all meetings have the same parameters regarding Zoom, advance notice, agendas posted, etc. Just would be courteous. And I really don't want anything posted about restaurants on the brick wall. We did it for COVID to help. COVID's over, get beyond it. And the fact that they can just assume they can do this is even more insulting and disrespectful, but we do know that that is a trend. And then, sort of lastly, but not really. When you say you're not on social media, and then you post a letter on social media, that seems to be a little bit contradictory, to put it lightly. I would actually put it in the category of lie. When you use pronouns of our and we, I would like to have an antecedent to know who you're referring to.
just because I know I'm not part of the we. These people, business people on the main street, well, what about residents? If you want us to spend our money there, I would think we could have an impact on it, or at least make a statement or two. And may I say that I do not deal with unilateral decisions. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I don't think that there is respect in different points of view as you try to shut down somebody who disagrees with you about the competence of our employees. I don't even think to try that with me. And what I would like to know is what actual improvements that will benefit everyone in the borough are you referring to? Because I've not seen any that have benefited me. And I can't be the only one with that, because I know, because let's face it, we all chat. So with that being said, Mr. Cannon.
Thank you. Next, yes.
I'm not sure what you want. There is no next level. I'm sure if you give the address, we can have code enforcement check.
No, it's being handled.
What does that mean?
It's being handled.
When? How? Is it been since
I'd be happy to talk,
15?
I'd be happy to talk to you offline about it.
Yeah, we can't talk about, we can't announce whatever enforcement is right now.
Since December 15th, is that rational?
I'm not
Well,
sure
we
we
can't-
can understand your December 15 comment, but yes.
That's when I brought it to the attention of the borough.
Thank you,
That was stated in the letter to you.
thank you. I should.
Hi, Ray Castellano, 604 Bradley Boulevard. Last meeting, there was a gentleman sitting somewhere around here, I think he was from the EOF folks. Something, and he talked about some Sylvan Lake and the Neptune Borough. And what he was talking about was how a lot of the water, the rainwater, the stormwater from Neptune flows into Sylvan Lake. Does everybody remember that conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. So my thing is there a way that we can charge Neptune for their storm? Because the way I see it, people from Neptune, they can't necessarily come to Bradley Beach and dump off their garbage, right? If they did, we would charge them. Well, the stormwater is causing issues with the lake. There is a way we could get revenue from Neptune for the stormwater, then we could use that money each and every year to maintain the lake, or do whatever we have to do. Seems like they're getting a free pass for something that really shouldn't be free. So I'll throw that out there. I don't know if it's doable, but if it is, it's another way that we can get some cash and do some things to keep the lake in good shape.
Can I address this, Mr. Mayor? Mr. Castellano, so the concept that you're talking about, it's a stormwater utility, and the state made it legal for towns to do that a number of years ago. Exactly 0 towns in the state of New Jersey have done that. It wouldn't quite work like you're talking about, because you couldn't charge where it's coming from. You could charge, like if this town had a stormwater utility, it could charge everybody. It could charge you. It would charge you for how much impervious surface you had on your property. And if you want to expand and put more pavers or make your driveway bigger, then you would pay more. We can't charge other towns, but we would charge impervious surfaces in this town. And you probably figured out why no towns have decided to do this, because it's like, well, we're just taxing people. I mean, in a way, it could go to good things. It could be good from an environmental standpoint, but it would just be another tax in New Jersey based on how much impervious coverage you had. So.
Thank you. Yes.
Jim Shishes, Michael. When the same thing, something like, Mr. Mayor, do we have more specific detail on the 2.4 million as far as how that can be used? No,
Not yet.
not yet, but will we have that? There is a specific area of my interest, having worked with the environmental restoration team, is what component of that 2.4 million might be available for the natural shoreline restoration? It does have some revenue money and other money, and we're really ready to go when there's enough money to complete the design and move to the next step. I'm secretary of the collaborative that in 3 phases contributed close to $50,000 to the Maritime Forest and is ready to contribute money to the Sylvan Lake restoration, but cannot do that until construction is imminent. So I'm being asked questions oftentimes about what is the status. It'll be very helpful when we have that detail. And I know you have a team, and I'm in communication with the team about how that might play out. But when that's available, I'm hopeful if we will have that sooner rather than later. It can lead to other funding that will be available for the overall restoration. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, yes.
Mike, 604th Avenue. At the last, meeting, I had asked a question about the, library's annual audits. And was told that, that my information that I received from the state was incorrect. So I reached out to the library director here, and on Tuesday, April 30th, at 5:53 p.m., she answered my email. Hello, Mike, thank you for reaching out. I hope to clarify some of your concerns with the following information. We were notified on October 3rd, 2022 by Wilcox and Company. They will not be conducting the library's 2021 audit. The library then engaged Aliwa and Company to complete the 2021 audit. The 2021 audit was received by the library on February 20th, 2024, and accepted by the Board of Trustees at the February 26th, 2024 meeting. Robert Keith did reach out to me regarding the audits, and I responded to him with the library's audit status. I'm not sure if that was before or after your communication with him. I'm in contact with the library's current auditor, Aliwa and Company, and we will start the 2022 audit in the second week of May. I have attached the audits for 2019, 2020, 2021. So my question's always been about process. You know, I've asked, questions about, has the annual financial statement for 2023 been published yet? And as of this evening on the website, it hasn't. At the last meeting, I was told it wasn't, and I'm assuming because it hasn't been published, it still hasn't been. So as a governing body, are you comfortable, especially with the issues that came out when we looked at the 2022 audit versus the 2022 annual financial statement, all the significant differences that you're seeing in expenses that when you're looking at the budgets now, are you comfortable with what you're seeing for 2023? As an example, the 2022 audit, excuse me, the 2022 annual financial statements, cash on hand in the general fund was $7,209,070.46. The audit report said cash was $4,004,143.46. Appropriations within caps and outside caps was $10,402,376.24 in the annual financial statement. The audit report had it at $10,971,299.33. Additionally, there was two appropriations in the current fund called miscellaneous reimbursements for $75,579.63. The reserve for clearing accounts in the amount of $155,402.79. I apologize, it's been asked and answered before. I'm sorry, as the audit was delivered late, with the two appropriations mentioned above, plus the over expenditures identified in the audit in the current fund of $48,841.88 and $29,097.22 in the beach utility fund. Was there an emergency appropriation enacted to approve any of those expenditures?
I can help with a couple of your questions. The 75,000 was cash that the auditor couldn't find. So that's basically a plug. And the 155,000 were overdrafts. Per the auditor, I pointedly asked him those questions.
So over expenditures, my understanding, need to be budgeted in the following year after they occur. Was the $308,000 that I just mentioned included in the 23 budget? If not, do they need to be accounted for in the 2024 budget?
We have not seen that included, and my guess is it's not, but we can't access the CFO, so at the moment, we don't know.
I appreciate continuing to say no to the budget introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Don Greenberg, 302 Park Place Avenue. First, just want to echo some of the other commenters about the lack of access provided to the council to the CFO. Unconscionable, and I can't think of any reason for it other than you're hiding something. I do have one question about the planning board meetings. How come they're not on Zoom, and is there something the council can do about that? I actually had to go to planning board meeting, or land use board meeting. When our plans were up for approval, and I had a medical condition at the time that made it very uncomfortable to actually be out. And it would have been really nice if there was a way to Zoom it. So how come those meetings aren't on Zoom? I think they were during COVID, right? So why can't that continue? And is there something the council can do about it? Who has jurisdiction over how that's run?
They're an autonomous group.
But they're appointed by the council, so.
They're appointed by the mayor.
Oh, they're appointed by the mayor.
Right.
Greg, is there anything the council can do about that legally to say that you have to do Zoom meetings?
No.
No.
Their meeting.
They're-
They said they're their own body.
All right,
You have to take it up with them.
thank you very much.
Yes.
Linda Duffy, 312 Whitney. Congratulations. You're doing a great job. Everybody's done a great job. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Mayor, you never gave a recreation report. How come?
I have mentioned.
Aren't you?
recreation.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
I was listening to it. What was the recreation? You didn't talk about pickleball. You didn't talk about Marshon, all the things that are going on with the residents of our town. I was just wondering if you could do that next time with the attention. Also, when the gentleman that was sitting next to me was talking numbers, I had no idea what he was talking about. Wouldn't it have been moved us all that if Meredith was there, she could ask those questions, because that's in her realm, isn't it? And why would Al have to answer them? I was just wondering, what did she do?
Thank you.
I'm not done.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, and thank you for the lilacs, but I think it's lavender. Whoever that is.
Oh, I have the wrong, but well, next meeting is gonna be loud.
It's been calming me down all day.
Yes.
Brigitte McGuire, 610 Brindley Ave. I wasn't gonna speak because I've spoken enough tonight. The gentleman who just got up about the library. Another reason why the budget should be passed. If the 2022 audit hadn't even started on the library or just started, there lies another huge issue of how things are managed here. I do want to thank this council for voting down the introduction for a third time. I have to lend a huge thank you to Councilman Gubitosi. The way you answer questions, the way you respond to residents about the budget, how hard you work in the details of this budget. It's just how it's supposed to happen, and I feel like you're carrying the load of the CFO, the borough attorney, the mayor, the BA, when you answer these questions, and I just have to say thank you for that. So I just had to point that out because it's irritating to sit here and to not have a professional, to not have people sitting here answering questions, and to have the volunteer residents sitting on the floor, which is a fire hazard, because I remember another meeting, someone was told to get up off the floor and there were seats open. So I know it's frustrating, Mayor, that I'm pointing this out, but it's just the obvious. He's taking notes the entire time sitting on the floor. And he could, give him a seat at the table. If he's working for us as a volunteer, give him a seat so we can ask him questions. That would be really great. My other, oh, congratulations, Chief, because,
Chief-elect.
multiple officers, sergeants, I don't know title per person, I try so hard, have just said since you have taken over, and also Detective Browning, is it detective?
Detective Lieutenant.
Okay, Detective Lieutenant Browning. That since you guys have really been handling things that more got done in 2 weeks than got done in 10 years. And I want to say a good 8 different police officers have said that. I also want to stress how many of them also said they were so happy to support the fire department at the fish fry that they were finally allowed to be at. Allowed. With that statement, I have to go back and just mention how much had been ignored by what happened with our old chief. And I know we're all moving forward, but it's really hard to move forward when we have a mayor who ignored how a Black man was treated on our streets. When we have a mayor who ignored everything in that prosecutor's report, who tried to hold that report to the last minute. Okay, it's also embarrassing. Let's go to the pantry now. We have a mayor who disparaged the 600 block residents of 4th Avenue near the pantry. It's crazy what we are up against. And it is no surprise to me that the mayor voted down the charter resolution or whatever, if it was a resolution ordinance, whatever, that he voted that down. To pass that resolution was strictly to give the voice to the people. It had nothing to do with any of you up there. Voting on that was putting our government in our hands, period. It had nothing to do with any of you. So to have a mayor who acts like a dictator day in and day out, who has hid money from us. I remember standing up here in 2022 during the budget season saying, if you're not telling us information, it means you're hiding something. And here we are in 2024, and Mr. Greenberg just said the same thing. If you are not sharing, you are hiding. So the fact that you run this town as a dictator and disparage residents, do not honor democracy, or else you would have voted yes for us to decide our government, just says loud and clear what we have to do as residents in November. We have to. I stress it, please, everyone, on public record, just please, please, choose who's here for democracy.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other comments, we'll move towards the, we'll adjourn into executive session. Make a motion to, 2024-2014 for executive session.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Mr. Cortese?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Bevan?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
That was on the, that was on the. We just need to make sure the lights are on. No, we just need to make sure they're on. Yeah, okay, so it's on every night. Yeah. No, I don't need stuff. I don't need stuff.
Yeah. We're gonna get home early.
So it's gonna be warmer in there.
You actually have some. In all things in the Bible. They're all. It's not even in French.
How you doing, man?
What's on what's on it?
Garrison.
Oh, yeah, it's quick.
Boy, I looked at the docs on that on NJ Sports.
Yeah.
That's up.
It's what?
I looked, it's totally, I looked at the documents, all the,
I mean, the borough's position is that the house was built not in conformance with the zoning permit. You can.
oh yeah, and then there was like a temporary and permanent.
So the claim in the case is that the borough is discriminating against, not refusing to issue the CO and giving them a hard time because the people that live there are Indian.
Right, which I saw that was.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? We didn't know they existed.
Right.
And so they came for the CO and they couldn't buy the house in June. We didn't know when we were busting this guy's chops, who's just building a house, however he felt like it.
Right.
We don't even know who the buyer is. We don't even know there's any people there. It's just,
There was,
the guy was trying to sue us so that we'll basically let him keep the house there.
I didn't realize that it was, that you couldn't have a wraparound porch.
No, you can't.
I didn't realize. that
You
was-
can if you go get a variance. But
How did he get a permanent CO?
he didn't. That's the whole issue. He has a temporary CO that's expired.
But didn't they reply, I was reading their reply, it said, but a permanent CO was issued. as
So
well.
they must have figured out, the people that bought the house, that they got their notice that says the TCO is expired.
Right,
So they must have went through and been like, fuck, right?
right.
And he came in here and got a housing CO, not a construction CO.
Interesting.
And now he's trying to say, oh, no, you gave me a final CO. Oh, yeah, you got smoke detectors. But honestly, I don't think it's
39. Get ready, next one.
We're not out. You probably saw it. And yeah, they still have to fix it up because they're. Yes. I don't. Yeah, that's part of the. That's the part of
But they're all yelling for you.
Did they yell? You turn that video off on purpose?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like bad habits. If you really want to say anything, around the wall. And it's a warm city. And it's supposed to continue, we just walk right up. Yes. Like that. In terms of. Yeah, they got to see the cars, but I didn't want to, it was the one. Yeah. If you want to see a car, Germany, Venice, So we did, backed up.
You want 2 weeks?
To monitor, it's, you know, kids, 3 weeks. And then it's.
The amount is amazing. No? You stay there for like 5 days.
I mean, it's.
I was watching steps. You meet with the walk into town, it's literally like 100 kids.
I gotta show you videos. Tracy, I gotta catch up with you, I'm sorry, I missed the meeting. Okay, what happened last night? Did you guys want more share?
We did do the check. I can find it.
Okay,
Did you do great check?
did you have a big check?
We did, we had a giant check. Got pretty good, it was pretty good.
I leave.
I'm great.
I'm sorry that nobody else.
I know you do, and we love it.
Yes, Erica. Thank you, Erica. Oh. Woo. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
All in favor? Aye. Have a good one, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you. Thank you, Greg Cannon.
Good night. Go Nets. Thank you, Greg.
And smell this. Right?